and with the help of many others, we've been able to stay on. I wanted to thank the candidates for all the information they provided for this event, and also all of the PCs, the precinct captains. For 12, I've got Bill here. Bill Hines, can you stand? Oh, there you are. Do I have any other PCs? Precinct captains? Oh, yes, Kelly and David is back there. So I hope you will all plan on attending the caucus that is this Tuesday. Check the website for the location for your precinct. And I want to thank Corey from MAPA. He is videotaping this and it will be available online. And also the church. I wanted to thank Pastor John here. There is a little donation box back there. If you could please donate for the use of this building. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Lucas Meyer.
Thank you all for coming out here tonight. This is our first sheriff debate of 2026. If everyone would, I would like to open with a prayer since we are in church. Please remove your hats and join me. Lord God, Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for all the safe travels, for everyone being able to make it here, and these three candidates who have a heart to protect and serve this community. Please let your word reign tonight. Let it be the candidates speak truth, and let them be lifted up as be with each and every one of them tonight. Amen. This is not an easy thing to get up and speak in front of this many people, and so definitely we thank you for the courage that you're bestowing upon them for that alone tonight, let alone the courage it takes to do this job. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. Brief overview of what we're going to be doing tonight. From the audience, respect for all candidates, no outbursts. We have questions which have been submitted by the audience. Those questions have been reviewed by a representative from each of the candidates, but they have not seen them and I have not seen them. So, no personal attacks, no questions or answers regarding ongoing or open investigations, no interrupting, no crosstalk, and candidate may decide to decline any question. A little bit of clarification on conduct. Past, present, and future ambitions for the sheriff's office are on the table, as that's why we're here, is to hear about the ambitions for the sheriff's office from these candidates. Family, citizens, other elected officials, anything of that nature, anything with county staff is off the table. We will not be discussing any of those issues tonight. Fair enough, gentlemen? With this, I'm going to take a seat and prepare for questions. Starting with yourself, Under Sheriff Spodek, would you get up and give your introduction? And feel free to use the podium as well.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's great to see such a packed house this evening, as this is an important issue that we're here to talk about, and that's who's going to be your next sheriff. So I'm Steve Spodek, and a couple things about me. I'm a husband. I'm a father of two boys. I'm a coach. I'm a Colorado native. I'm a graduate of Platte Canyon High School. I'm also a graduate of Adams State College here in Colorado. I have 2 bachelor's degrees from there. I have a master's certificate from the University of Virginia. I'm a graduate of the prestigious FBI National Academy, and I'm currently your undersheriff.
I
I have 22 years law enforcement experience. 14 of those years have been here in Park County. I've worked in or directly overseen all divisions of the Park County Sheriff's Office. I have a very diverse law enforcement background, and I am ready to be your sheriff. I'm ready to be your sheriff today. I'm ready to go from day one, right now. I'm ready to be your sheriff tomorrow, and I'm ready to be your sheriff starting in January of 2027. So, that's me. Again, thank you all for being here. I'm very glad to be part of this panel, to be up here with these other candidates. I'm proud to represent Bailey, Colorado, which is where we are, which is where I'm from, where I'm very involved in the community here. And I look forward to taking your questions. I look forward to talking with you, learning about what your concerns are. And I think that by the time we finish up this evening, it should be clear to you that I am the clear choice to be the next sheriff of Park County. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, neighbors. I want to thank you personally for being here. It shows me that every one of you cares about the future of our sheriff's office. My name is Ahmed Sisik, and I'm running for the Park County Sheriff this year. I have dedicated past 24 years of my life to law enforcement. Advancing from the patrol officer, field training officer, police sergeant, and ultimately chief of police. I have built police department from the ground up, and I have hands-on experience in all aspects of law enforcement, and that's from street level all the way to executive level. As your Park County Sheriff, I'm ready to serve today. I don't need a training. I possess all the certificate that makes me best candidates for this position. I'm here today to share with you my vision for the Park County Sheriff's Office and planning what's going to happen to this office. When elected, my first goal is going to be rebuilding the trust with our community. I'm going to build a sheriff's office that's focused on recruitment, retention, fiscal responsibility, and mental health awareness, treatment, and response program. My philosophy is focused not only on law enforcement, but building community-oriented policing. We need to go from reactive policing to proactive policing. We need administration who's going to have a clear plan for our deputies so we can support them to stay here and work with a decent pay. Park County deserves a real change, and I'm here with experience, knowledge, and judgment to make those changes day one. Thank you again.
Corey, were you able to pick up the microphone okay?
Yeah.
Wherever you are? There you are. Hi. Hi. Folks, my name is Phil McDonald. My beautiful wife, Kelly. Say hi. Son's Maverick. My choice for undersheriff, one of my old police partners. Friends, I wanna thank you on behalf of myself and my family for attending tonight. This is huge. Look at this room. This is grassroots politics, is it not? So I applaud you. Thank you for taking charge, taking a leadership role in our community. It's obviously very important, isn't it? The choice is going to be yours coming up this next election season. And so I encourage you to get involved in the caucus that's coming up Tuesday night. Get involved with the county assembly that's coming up. Become a delegate, find your choice of candidate, and vote for that candidate. So that's coming up, a lot of that's coming up this month. So the choice is going to be yours. Do we want more of the same, or are we ready for change? When I got involved up here, I immediately saw the need that we needed some change. I spent most of my career with Colorado Springs Police Department, and in my opinion, I think I was trained by one of the best, if not one of the best, training academies in the United States, the Police Department of Colorado Springs. They have their problems, they have their issues, like most departments do, but I came up and I got involved with Kelly. We became precinct leaders, precinct 7 in the Hartselle area, got involved with the GOP. The more you get involved in something, you think, gosh, I could help with that, couldn't I? I could help with that, couldn't I? Thank you. And I felt this need and this calling to help more. I've spent about the last 18 years since my son Maverick, and since he was born, that's when I've been running businesses, lots of different businesses. Tire business, uniform business, I've got U-Haul dealerships, all kinds of things going on. Thank you. And if you can find your way in business, any business owners, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard. And so if you can navigate that way, because I think the discussion is going to come, one of our biggest issues is budget. Thank you. We'll talk more.
All right, we started that with the undersheriff, and so we'll just keep working our way through. So, Mr. Sussick, you'll be next. First question of the night. Vision for the future. What is your vision for the sheriff's office in the next 5 years, and how will you ensure that it aligns with the values of transparency, integrity, and justice?
Well, like I said in my opening statement, I'm gonna be basing my goal for the sheriff's office on 3 things. It's gonna be recruitment retentions, it's gonna be fiscal responsibility, and mental health, which is a real problem in our communities right now. With recruitment and retention, I mean, we have deputies here, they're underpaid, we don't have a 24/7 coverage, and talking to community, there's a lack of trust. The only way we can establish that is with accountability and transparency. Transparency by creating oversight boards by civilians, independent investigation on every misconduct that's in this county, and we can keep our stats up to date, crime stats in this county. We can have advisory boards in every community that we can address those issues on a weekly basis. The support comes from the community. It's a two-way communication between your sheriff and the community. If we have trust, we won half of the battle. With the budget shortfall, you know, I'm looking extensively in the Park County Sheriff's Office budget right now. There is no grants, they're written, at least that's what the budget says. There's shortfall in this year's budget, but that kind of offset with our short-term rental tax that we received this year, the Sheriff's Office received this year. So all that money that Sheriff's Office just received should be going to deputy salaries, so we can keep them here, make them happy, and make them enjoy their work. Thank you. Just make sure it's.
There's only one mic, so we'll just keep passing the mic here. For me, this is an easy question. This one's a home run. Our jail's closed. What are we gonna do about it? We don't have the funds. Our budget's tight. A lot of times I'll talk to people in the county and they think the commissioners have this magic checkbook with endless money. We don't. I talk to people throughout the county and they're poor. I'm taxed out. Are you? Yeah. Let me hear from you because I'm taxed out. And we can't keep going back to the well. It's hurting our personal families and our personal lives. Tax this, tax that. I've got numerous plans that I've come up with, and I call them, I've white papered them. Numerous ideas on how to fix this jail situation. Yesterday I met with the water group out of Aurora. Everyone know that a new reservoir is coming down southwest of Hartselle? Does everyone know that? Yeah. So we met with them yesterday. That could be one of the biggest economic drivers in this county that we're gonna see for a while. That's huge. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna bring 600-800 workers at least, plus support staff into this area. So where do we house them? It creates problems for law enforcement, for fire, for emergency services. It's gonna create a lot of problems when you guys come, or when these workers come in the area, because what do they do at night, right? And so it's gonna create a lot of problems, but where do we house them? grocery stores, nutrition, all kinds of stuff. And so we need a candidate that's going to work with our good legislators out of Denver, yes, because I don't see that happening with the current administration. I work daily. I just had a phone call just a minute ago from a Senate District 4 candidate. Thank you. And I work with them a lot. Do we need good contacts with Denver? I say yes, we do. Do we need good contacts with our state reps here? Yes. Do we need contacts at the federal level? I have that. I'm good friends with Congressman Crank. We had Christmas dinner with him. We have to work outside of the box. We can't pigeonhole ourselves into just this county and think we can only rely on property tax. We can't. We can't. There's a lot of other money and grants, federal, state level, and we have to rely on some of that because we pay into that. We're welcome to it. Thank you.
Well, the question was for the next 5 years, and I think that that's ambitious. I think it probably should be for the next 4 years, as that would be, the term of whomever is elected the next sheriff. But for me, the priority is to get our jail back open. And I realize that I have a little bit of an unfair advantage over the other two candidates because I know more about what's actually going on with our jail. In fact, Andy with the county, who is the one who's done the inspections on the facility, we've been in contact recently about what that looks like. And so there's a 2-phase plan currently, and without going into great detail because I don't have a whole lot of time, there are some very realistic and not super cost prohibitive fixes to get our jail back open, which would take a huge strain off of our staff right now. So to me, that is a priority. The sheriff is, number one, statutory required to have a jail. I heard short-term rental money brought up, and we're gonna have an increase in tax money coming from short-term rentals. And I agree that that money should go entirely to our staff, entirely to our deputies. Unfortunately, with our budgeting process this year, that changed at the 11th hour and will not be allowed to happen going into 2026. Some of that money is gonna have to be reallocated to pay for other things like vehicles that the sheriff's office needs. But going forward, what I believe the Park County Sheriff's Office needs is accountability, character, and competency. All things that I believe I clearly possess. Additionally, the state of Colorado has been rough on all of us, especially those of us with conservative views and those of us in law enforcement and public safety. So I plan on being involved with the lobbyists. And lastly, because I'm about out of time, to help bring money into the county, I plan on hiring a full-time grant writer. Thank you.
285 is still not controlled as far as speeding, traffic violations, and infractions. What would you do to help make things safer for our residents?
Great question. Thank you for who posed that question. I was involved with Springs Police we had traffic enforcement units. I thought this one through as well. This is where I'm talking about the white paper. White paper fills ideas, what I'm gonna do. And so anyone's welcome to see these ideas. A lot of these, for the record, I've not talked to the county manager or the county commissioners about them, but I would like to see a traffic enforcement unit. It's gonna be a self-funded machine. It was 4th of July, we're leaving Hartselle after the parade, and there was a head-on collision on 9. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And these folks that are passing in no passing zones, and I want to be able to use drones to work in that traffic enforcement, use technology to bring this department up to speed a little bit more. A lot of these things will be self-funded, and as you hear me speak throughout the night, I'm going to keep talking about these taxes because all of my proposals, there's nothing that I'm going to propose that will get into your pocket any more than the ideas already have. I'm going to be able to utilize the money that is given to the sheriff's department that's already allocated, restructure things, and put it to great use. Is that not what we're looking for?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I believe the question had to do with traffic safety on Highway 285. I've been driving Highway 285 since I was 15 years old. So I am familiar. I drive it every single day. I live here in Bailey, as I already told you all. Generally, I work out of our office in Fairplay. Before my time as undersheriff, I was a patrol deputy here and a detective. I'm very familiar with Highway 285. There are a lot of issues, and I really like the idea of a traffic enforcement unit. In fact, the sheriff has proposed that to the county commissioners for the last 2 years. Even with it funding itself, it's not something that we've been able to get approval on. That doesn't mean we're gonna stop trying. We believe in this idea as well. It's a sound idea, it can fund itself, as long as the county can keep the revenue from those funds, which is a Tabor issue. And I don't know that we have time to get into that right now, but if we don't debruce on our fees and fines, we can write all the tickets we want and generate all of this revenue, and we're not going to be able to keep that, unfortunately. So it's not as self-funding as it appears on the surface. However, we encourage our deputies to target areas every time that we can. We understand how dangerous it is out there. We drive Highway 285 regularly also, and it's important. I realize that it could be one of my family members, one of your family members, who might be involved in some of these catastrophic incidents we have out here. But another thing that we could be doing a better job of is educating the public. Educating all of you on just how dangerous speed is, because speed is the #1 contributor to these catastrophic crashes that we have on Highway 285. But enforcement is the first step. Thank you.
Well, traffic safety in 285, I live off of 285, and I've seen everything, from accidents, fatality, and everything else. I think that our major focus should be on a data-driven traffic enforcement, targeting the areas which are affected, whether it's 285 or branches of 24 and Highway 9. So my suggestion for the county, and what I will be doing as your sheriff, I will be adopting Federal Commercial Motor Vehicle Carrier Code. How many of you guys seen those DG Coleman trucks every day on 285? Okay, well, they fall under the Federal Commercial Motor Vehicle Carrier Code. Adopting that in a county and give us something that we don't have here. We can contract with the Port of Entry down in Dumont, and those services are free to us. To have a scale, to have a vehicle inspection point, and what a better thing to see than our county deputies working hand in hand with our Port of Entry, giving us opportunity and a presence in a critical area to slow down the traffic. Traffic is not just enforcement and sending deputies. We need to have data that proves us how much of the time are actually our deputies spending answering call for services. Okay, based on that data, we can prorate how much of proactive time we have to send deputies to enforce the traffic. Traffic unit is a good concept, but I don't think with our staffing right now, we can afford a traffic unit, even a self-funded one. There's a grants as well for the traffic units that we can do and apply for it. Thank you so much.
Please share what is your faith journey and what church, if any, you belong to.
Any order?
Steve.
All right, I find this kind of an odd question for a sheriff candidate because I believe that elected officials should represent their entire constituency. That said, I am a Christian. I am a member of Platte Canyon Community Church. I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior when I was a teenager and have been trying to walk his path ever since then. Interesting, I think, how that plays into law enforcement. Jesus was a very accepting person, the perfect person, right? The only perfect human being who's ever walked the earth. that's not the world that we deal with, not at all. But where it crosses over into this job is having compassion for people. Even someone on their worst day is still a person. They're still a human being, and they still deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, no matter what they're accused of doing. I don't know what else to say about that, but that's my answer.
I'm gonna piggyback on Steve's comments. I really don't know how this question made it here, but to kind of enlighten everybody, I am a Christian. I'm a member of Latter-day Saints Church, also known as Mormon. I can tell you that working 24 years in law enforcement, faith and my beliefs have helped me to stay a good husband, a good father. That's our primary role. And I think without a faith that every one of us will be lost. So with that being said, you know, every one of us needs to have higher being there for you to be able to vent, to be able to have your 5 minutes, to have that relationship with Heavenly Father. And that's what makes us who we are. I always bring the theory about a sheepdog, shepherd, wolf. Say, we in our law enforcement, if anybody's interested, read the book by Lieutenant Colonel Grossman, who's a devoted Christian. He's also a psychology major from West Point. He has helped me in my marriage with my lovely wife. I purchased this book that's called Bulletproof Marriage, that brings verses of Bible and a family prayer to my life that I can utilize to keep myself going, to be there for my kids, and to be there for my wife, and ultimately to my community. Because public service, ultimate sacrifice, is a life of sacrifice. That's what we do every day. That's where I stand. Thank you.
I love this question. I can talk about it all night. I love our Lord Jesus Christ. I think your sheriff needs to be a humble person, realizing there is a stronger being. Because I believe, when we go back to Genesis, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God created, in my opinion, all of us. And created us different, and different for reasons. And I've had that respect my entire life, whether you're black, green, purple, it doesn't matter. And sometimes we have to respect folks that have other religions. Sometimes I think, are you praying to the right God? But it humbles you. And so many times I've sat in a cruiser, so many times on the trip over here, I'm praying for God to give me the words to present to you, that I speak the truth, that I speak where you're able to hear the words and feel what I feel in my heart. When I was on CSPD, my career was cut very short. I was hit by a drunk driver on duty. And it broke my wrist, my right ankle. I've had spinal surgery, and I've had 3 left knee surgeries. It renewed my faith. My right leg was so bad I was dragging it. I couldn't feel it, and we're all friends and family here, right? So I'm gonna tell you, from the waist down, I couldn't even tell when I had to use the restroom. It was getting bad. And I thought, what do? I felt like a worthless human. I really did. And I thought, I'm a dad, a husband. I don't feel productive. I couldn't even drive a car because I couldn't even turn enough to look left. And so that's incredibly humbling. And so, I'm cut short on time. We'll talk more about that.
Sorry, no,
That's 30
30
seconds?
You got it.
Oh, I can keep going, 30 seconds. And so what it did, it renewed my faith because, and I have trouble talking about this because it's so powerful to me, that I asked God, stand by. I'm still on the clock, I gotta go. Work through that surgeon's hands, and he did. And I feel as good as I've felt probably since my 20s. So that surgeon helped me, and I really appreciate him, and I appreciate Jesus from above working through his hands to fix me. So thank you.
How would you support your deputies,
posse members, and admin and support staff differently compared to how things have been run now?
So the first thing I learned in law enforcement is that management doesn't fix leadership. Leadership is something that we have thought throughout our career. As a cops, we are tasked with life and death decisions that we have to make every day, and we don't have all day long to think how we're gonna do that. All right? Leadership is something where you build a trust with your administration, your deputies, with your public. So if I can get trust from our deputies, from our administration, to move this organization forward, that's when I'm gonna work on it. And there's so many ways we can do that. I summarized law enforcement long time in 3 short topics that I always talk about. It's a power, control, and belonging. Power is empowering our people to do their job without somebody breathing down their neck all the time. Let the cops be cops. Control, they're in control of their own time and how they serve our community. And belonging, every one of us in law enforcement, and I'm still currently in law enforcement, we belong to something higher than ourselves. So if you have that value as the office to serve others, including your employees, I think that's the best thing that you can do, and that's the best thing to move this sheriff's office forward. Thank you.
Another great question, I really appreciate it. Any deputies in the room? I know we've got Summit, we've got El Paso County, we've got some Park County. I'm in this for you. I truly am. I realize the pay is low. I realize the morale with a lot of deputies is low. I want to boost that back up. I think you can start to tell, if I can get my personality to come out a little bit, I'm an energetic guy. I want to lead by example. I want to set the highest level of integrity for the department and not vary from it. I want to hold to the Constitution. I want to support our deputies. I have a plan to get them up in pay. Part of that plan is in response to the jail, where Undersheriff spoke just a minute ago about the jail and said something that was it's true, partially true, but there's something more I want to add to it about the jail. Yes, by statute, the sheriff has to operate and maintain the jail. There's a new House bill, and I've never heard anyone talk about this. There's a new House bill, and it was passed last year. It's House Bill 25-1050. It allows surrounding counties to work with each other, intergovernmental agencies to work with each other. This is how we're allowed to, except for the exigent circumstances, but housing inmates in other counties. I want to work with the other counties surrounding. Look at this, because right now we're only spending $90, $100 per inmate right now. I think there's only 14, 15 inmates to my knowledge. I'm having trouble getting information. But if we're trying to house 15 people, it doesn't make sense where we've got folks trying to provide nutritional services, food, the housing. What does it cost to operate that jail just with the light bill? So take some of that money, keep the jail closed right now, utilize this House bill that is legal, that we can do that and house inmates somewhere for a little while, work on a new plan to either rebuild our jail, downsize it, or work in cooperation with federal and state resources to maybe build a new criminal justice center and update, because I understand the jail's pretty bad and it may be done. So we'll just have to see. We'll wait and see. Thank you again.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so first I'm going to address the jail issue there in House Bill 1050. I'm familiar with House Bill 1050, but that's because I'm working here and it's part of my job to be familiar with that. The interesting thing about that is, yes, that would give us the opportunity to establish a contract with another agency or agencies. It could be multiple. But let me ask you this. If one of your loved ones here in Bailey made a bad decision. They get arrested tonight, they go to jail, and you want to go visit them, right? Because that's what we would do as family members. Do you want to have to drive all the way to Salida? I mean, Fair Play is far enough. So we need to get our jail back up and running. But the question, I believe, was how would you support your deputies, your support staff, your admin, and your posse differently? And I think I'm the only one that can answer that question because I'm the only one that's within the agency right now. I don't know that the morale is as low as you guys say it is. And for those of you who are here tonight, there's several people that work at the sheriff's office. Please feel free to talk to them. They're all in different capacities. Sure, the pay is not great, but we're a family. And one thing that I think would be important to do differently going forward would be to hold our folks a little bit more accountable. That's not a dig on Sheriff McGraw. He is a fine man, but he's got a soft side. I'm not quite that way. I'm a little bit more by the book and a little bit more hold your feet to the fire. So if I were going to do something different in the treatment of our staff and what we're doing right now, that would be it. Increase the accountability.
Given the impact of alcohol and drug use on crime rates, what proactive measures will you take to address substance abuse issues within our community and law enforcement?
Easy. I have no tolerance for street drugs. I have zero tolerance. You know why? I've seen it ruin families. I don't want it bought, sold, or used in Park County. I don't want it anywhere around us. I'll be hard on the drugs. Crime rate. That was part of the question. My understanding, I received information from our DA's office. Our DA is Jeff Lindsay. His office is down in Canyon City. And this is about a year ago or more, that our current conviction rate with Park County is around 12% at that point. I now hear that it's down around single-digit numbers. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself, but that's the information I get. And once I said a little bit ago that I'm having trouble getting some of this information, is I'm not the sheriff's candidate here, and I'm glad I'm not. I'll be glad to say that. I'm glad I'm not Sheriff McGraw's candidate here. I'm looking to change things. I'm looking to change things for the better. I'm looking to raise the morale, to raise the pay of the deputies, to retain great deputies, to keep them extremely well trained, where they are confident in their job. They're stretched so thin. This county is so big. To get from here to Guffey, that's a long haul. That's a long ways. And so folks will ask me, why don't we have patrol in our neighborhoods? We're stretched thin. We're really stretched thin. And so as a community, we have to ask ourselves, do we want a tax increase to support the sheriff's department? Or give Phil a chance with this budget and let me affect some of the changes that I'm talking about to utilize the same budget that we currently have, stay out of your tax, or stay out of your wallet for a little bit, hopefully forever. I'd love to do 1 or 2 terms and never ask for a tax increase and utilize the money that we have. It's just using it in a different way. This is what sets me apart, is because I had the law enforcement career, and now we have to make the decision, do we want more lifelong government officials where they've made an entire living off the government paycheck? I've had to run and operate businesses, and how hard it is to make payroll sometimes from some of these businesses, as business owners know that are here in the room. So that's my time. Thank you.
Well, I think every one of us is kind of fed up with our kids being exposed to fentanyl, methamphetamines. I personally used to work undercover operation down in Denver. I was undercover narc. I can tell you that, yes, we had that war on drugs since Nancy Reagan, when she came out and says we're proclaiming war on drugs. That's a complex situation. The part that we don't see is legislators and our courts who are not punishing those people. They're passing the laws down in Denver at the state capitol. We bring people to jail, over and over. Those are repeated offender. And we started looking into roots of the problem. Addiction is the biggest problem. Okay, addiction destroys families, takes lives. What programs can we offer to fight the addiction? Right? We can take people to the jail, and within 48 hours, we have to release them. They have to see the judge, and they again on the street, and we are just repeating the problem. Multi-jurisdiction efforts need to be made to involve Park County Sheriff's Office, working with Teller, Summit, Lake, or Chaffey County to build a unit who can just address drug issue, trafficking, and on the better part for the Sheriff's Office, we can bring the programs that are battling addiction. We have those programs where I currently work, and all those programs are 100% funded through the grants, so it would not cost you a penny to offer help to people who are willing to better their lives. Thank you.
Well, we started something last year to work on combating this very issue. And not only that, but it's been a really good community outreach for us. And for those of you that don't know, the Park County Sheriff's Office has 2 canine units now. They're both narcotics detection canines. They also both track people, and they're also suspect apprehension dogs. There's a lot of narcotics coming through Park County. And the problem is that there's no accountability. The problem is at the legislature. The problem is at the state level. The problem is not the cops not doing their jobs because they're arresting people for this. The problem is the prosecutors not prosecuting them. The problem is the courts not holding them accountable. We have become a state that is a drug haven. It started back around 2014 when we legalized recreational marijuana. And now look at where we are. I can't not tell you how frustrating it is for our folks to go out there and make drug arrests over and over and over again, and these folks are right back out on the street. You're right, they're not getting the treatment that they deserve, but I don't feel that that is our role. I feel that that is the role of the healthcare industry to work on substance abuse. Now, what we can do from a law enforcement and public safety aspect is we can get more involved with our lobbyists. We can get more involved with our legislators. We can get more involved with our representatives and our senators at the state level, and we can let them know just how serious this is. I've been down at the Capitol testifying about different issues. That's what we need to continue to do. We need to let those of us in rural Colorado make our voices heard and not controlled by the Front Range. Thank you.
Since you are running as a Republican, how long have you been a Republican? What has been your involvement? And are there any other details from other questions that you would like to further elaborate on?
All right, well, like I said, I've been in Park County the majority of my life. I registered as a Republican voter in 2006 here in Park County. That's as long as I've been a homeowner here. So, 20 years. And I'm running as a Republican because I believe in conservative values. I believe in your right to choose. I believe in personal responsibility, and I believe in limited government. And that goes, it piggybacks right on what I was just talking about. There are so many bills going through the legislature now every year. It's unbelievable. If you look at Title 30 under the Colorado Revised Statutes, which is where elected officials in counties get their authority from, and you look just at the sheriff section of that, the part that provides for county sheriffs. Over the last year, there's been probably 3 or 4 amendments to that. Whereas looking back historically, it's very rare that that had changed. There doesn't need to be a change like that, but that's what we're seeing. We're seeing bills just being thrown forward and thrown forward. And to me, as a Republican, that's not what we need. We need to deal with the laws that we already have. We need to follow those laws as citizens, as individuals, and as those of us charged with enforcing the law, we need to enforce what we have on the books. We don't need more laws. So, I'm running as a Republican candidate. Those are my values, and I'll pass it over to.
Well, I registered as a Republican first time when I became a U.S. citizen. That was in 2012, right? I have very conservative values, and like Steve said, I don't believe in a big government. I don't want them to tax me all the time. I live here. Our taxes are through the roof. And then, since we can't talk about what made me leave the Republican Party, we cannot talk on behalf of prior administration. So I left Park County for about 2 years, and I re-registered last year in August, again as a Republican, which has not changed my conservative values and what I believe in. I think with the current leadership in Park County regarding the Republican Party, we're going the right way. We are hearing our residents, we're listening to our citizens, and I think it's a good change that everybody needs. I'm running on the Republican ticket because of my conservative values and because I want to change. And I am the change that can bring the sheriff's office where it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you again for another great question. I'll tell you, both you guys have a conservative voting record of 2. And I missed the question a little bit. 10/21/2014, you registered as unaffiliated. You just registered as a Republican on August 14th, 2025, just a few months ago. I've been a lifelong Republican since the day I could register to vote. As soon as I moved up here, I told Kelly, let's seek out the Republican Party. What are they doing? What's going on? It's something I've always done. I've worked dozens and dozens and dozens of campaigns. I love it. I like finding a great candidate and get behind them and support them. We came up, we met some of the county commissioners, we got involved in the party, we became precinct leaders, as I already mentioned, down in the Hartselle area. Kelly and I have worked Hartselle Days, the county fair, we have worked Borough Days, we volunteer for the 4th of July parade. 4th of July is my birthday, by the way. It's a cool day to have a birthday, right? Yeah, that's kind of fun. Kind of a fun day. Everyone has a party, a barbecue. And so we got involved with the party. I have to say, I've never seen either one of you at either of these events. I know you attended the county fair, Steve, but not as a volunteer, not with the party. Right now, what I'm seeing in this county, and we're seeing this all across America, we're seeing it in the state, is the fractured GOP. It's going on in the state. What do we have, 19 candidates for governor right now? How do you sort that out? Who's your favorite type of thing? And what happens is they start separating our party and dividing us. This is exactly what Denver wants to do and the liberals want to do, is divide our party. I've heard so many with our GOP here locally that we're gonna get through this election season and we're gonna bail out. Please don't, please don't. Stay firm to your beliefs. Registered Republican for life. There's many times where I thought, the party's driving me nuts. And that happens because we all have differences in personalities and views in politics, do we not? But what we have to do is we have to have a sheriff that's going to unite us, bring us all together, and understand all of us as a community. Thank you.
What specific strategies will you implement to ensure robust response to domestic violence cases? And how will you support victims in our community?
Well, thank you for this question. This is it's a touchy topic, right? But I will tell you that the director of victim services from the state of Colorado recently sent an email to someone within the sheriff's office asking Sheriff McGraw and or myself if we would be willing to become trainers in domestic violence at the state level. And I'm not sure what the sheriff's stance is on that. For me personally, while we have fostered an environment where domestic violence investigations have been extremely important, and supporting the Victim Services Division within the Sheriff's Office has also been a top priority, I don't feel that I'm qualified to be a trainer, but I was flattered. And the reason that I bring this up is because I think it shows that over the last 7 years, we have made huge strides within the Park County Sheriff's Office in the areas of domestic violence investigations, domestic violence prosecutions. Domestic violence is extremely difficult to prosecute. Most people who are victims of domestic violence, they don't want to be victims. And it's very difficult to prosecute those without a cooperative victim. But our Victim Services Division, which is almost 100% grant funded, are fantastic people. They're good at what they do. They're very good at establishing connections with people and plugging them into resources that are available to them when they're victims of crime. That's something that's going to continue going forward with me as your sheriff.
Having been in this field for 24 years, I can't tell you how many domestic violence calls I went on. It's a complex process. Myself, I sat on the Domestic Violence Coalition in Summit County, that's where I currently work, and got exposed to see how much is involved to get the victim from the traumatic event to go and live their life again, like a normal person. It involves victim advocates, psychological evaluations, you name it, everything is there. But domestic violence is one of those shall arrest statute in the state of Colorado, which means we don't have discretion when we go to domestic violence and we find probable cause to arrest perpetrator, not a primary aggressor, it's perpetrator. Sometimes people make those mistakes when they say, well, he attacked me, I defended myself, now that person has, attacker has visible injuries, and what are inexperienced cops doing? Oh, well, there's a physical evidence, it's your fault, then you're taking victim to the jail. We're trying to avoid our domestic violence prosecution, where I work right now, and the prosecution rate is very high, 98%. The victim does not need to press charges against the perpetrator. The state of Colorado is pressing charges. So we have taken that out, making sure that when we leave, bad things don't happen. So we take the perpetrator to the jail, introduce them to criminal justice, and that's how it works. And they are required to complete classes, anger management, you name it. So working with the victim advocates and all outside support that we get in law enforcement, it's crucial to continue to protect our victims. As a law enforcement officer, that's our job, protecting our victims. Thank you.
It's another great question, and it's a difficult answer because there's not a magic answer to it, is there? There really isn't. Every case is different. Every case can be extremely dangerous for the responding deputies. It can be dangerous. I've been in cases where all of a sudden the family turns on you. The abused lady turns on you. Don't take my husband out of the home, and then you're dealing with a mess. Utilizing current technology. Through video, through all kinds of things. We've got CASA in Colorado Springs, victim advocates down there. Utilize technology to be able to use resources outside of our community. I think once again, we're thinking inside this box within the parameters of Park County. We have to think outside the box. There's so many resources for victim advocates outside of Park County. And so we have to figure out exactly how to use those protect these victims. Most of the time it's separation. We see the domestic violence rates are just climbing like crazy. This is where everyone's stressed. Anyone stressed? I'm always stressed. It's bills are due, utility bills due, the kids need this, I didn't make dinner, shoot, I didn't go to the grocery store. And then it starts this in the home, in the household. And this is some of the cause for a lot of the domestic situations that are going on, is just stress. A lot of times it's just a cooling down period. I hear rumor in Park County of a domestic situation involving a deputy that was covered up, and I truly hope that that's not true. I really hope that's not true, but I hear it a lot. And it's something that's heartbreaking. When I went through detective training, I was going through as a domestic violence detective, and they asked me on Friday afternoon, we need a couple guys to go into fugitives. And I'm like, oh, I want to go to fugitive. And so I was trained that way in domestic violence, have a lot of resources outside of the county where we can lean on those and help. My big point is we can't put ourselves in a pigeonhole, we have to look outside the box. Thank you.
Tell us your definition of procedural justice and how will you implement it into your everyday operations?
Well, that's the one that I love. Procedural justice means involvement with the community. It means end result. We are all faced as a cops with a split decisions. And really, when we talk about a procedural justice, it doesn't mean what the outcome is out of the traffic stop. Is it a ticket? Is it a warrant that somebody goes to jail? Or is it just what every one of us wants to be? We want to be heard, and we want to know if it meant training deputies to be human beings and show respect instead of forcing respect upon people. It's a major component of procedural justice. So we need to be open, we need to listen, because every encounter from our public with our deputies means a lot. Because that's going to affect me down the road if somebody gets pulled over in Park County and they're mistreated and they cross over Hoosier Pass to Summit County, and now I'm pulling them over. If they had a bad experience, guess what's going to happen? We're going to have an argument, possible use of force. I don't know what they're going to do to me. I don't know them from Adam. So I'm dealing with people on an everyday basis. So we need to read our public. We need to bestow our trust. And we need to be nice to people. That's what makes us human beings. Just being a human, it's a part of the procedural justice. And we need to implement this in everyday law enforcement activities here in Park County. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to piggyback off of what Ahmet just said with how you treat people. And I think that's one of the things that has always been a priority for me. And I think if you've ever spent any time with me, you know that I'm a listener first. This is not my forte, being up here in front of you all, talking to you, and having you listen to what I have to say. And it started long before I was a detective, but it's extremely important when you're investigating to listen. And one thing that has become abundantly clear to me this evening, sitting up here with these two gentlemen, is they've never worked here. Park County is a big county, right? It's 2,200 square miles. Summit County is 619, and you have 5 police departments. We have 1. Phil, everything you talk about is Colorado Springs. That's great. But here we are. We're in Park County, right? 18 to 20,000 people. We don't have a lot of resources, but we seem to do a pretty good job of figuring things out. And that's because for the most part, we do a really good job of treating people with dignity and respect. And even our younger guys are getting better about listening. And actually listening, not just hearing what you have to say and waiting for my turn to talk. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually listening and understanding the information that you're trying to give me. So when we talk about procedural justice, when you work in an environment like this that is vast in size but limited in population, you have to learn how to use your words. There is always somebody who is bigger and badder than you are. And if you can't figure out how to talk your way out of a situation when you're by yourself, you're not going to be successful here.
That's a great point. Great point. All you young guys listen to that. There's always somebody bigger and badder than you are at the bar. So, absolutely. I reference Colorado Springs. That's where I spent my career. And once again, I'm going to reference that I believe I was trained by the best police department in the nation that I know of. I've traveled. I've trained at different departments. I've gone through lots of FBI stuff in Denver. And I truly believe in that. And when you have that type of training and you can bring those resources, that training, that experience into something like this, I have to tell you, everywhere I go, I hear, what are you going to do to fix the sheriff's department? It's a mess. Anyone believe it's a mess?
Yep.
Anyone believe it's a mess?
Yes. Yes.
We have to have some change. Steve, I love you as a brother, man, but we have to have some change. I believe it's time for some new leadership. I really do. I think we have to break this cycle. I know you grew up here. I know you're deeply invested here. But it's time to break this cycle. Bring in some fresh ideas. Bring in some fresh blood. Bring in some great deputies. Light this place up where we become the pinnacle of Colorado, and then expand that we are one of the best, most trusted sheriff's departments in the United States. That's what I want to do as your sheriff. Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm back again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got another cycle.
Okay.
Back to back. Corruption seems to be very easy to slip into. How can you convince the voters that your administration will not be a part of this? Trust is everything. How can we trust you? And will you seek out to correct any and all unlawfulness?
Absolutely. My last answer kind of led right into this, didn't it? So, corruption is very easy to fall into. As the sheriff, you go to a dinner or something and they're, hey, let me give you a meal. Deputies go into Loaf and Jug. I'll just take that Pepsi, it's okay. And then it leads. And then Loaf and Jug expects something in return. You get a free soda, we expect you to patrol our parking lot a little bit more. And this is where corruption happens. And man, if I may, I really appreciate you guys in your long career, and I applaud you on that. That's huge, both of you guys. But what happens, I've got the taste of law enforcement. And I'll tell you what, I never thought I wanted to be a cop again. I never did. Thank the Lord, I have found some great success in business. But when I came up here, and I thought, I've got to help. I need to help. I have this. And I started feeling that calling. And I don't know if it's God saying, Phil, I'm going to make you the next sheriff. I don't know that. None of us know that. Maybe it was just that I come and I do this tonight and I teach you some new things. And we talk about some ideas. I don't want to be anyone's bad guy. I see different shirts around the room, that sort of thing. I don't want to be the new guy in the neighborhood that's a bad guy. I want to bring us back together as a family. I want to reconcile our party. I want to work well with Denver and our elected officials. I appreciate that question very much. How do you fix it? You fix it by the way that you lead. I'm not going to dip below this, and I never have my entire career, my entire life. I look as a father, as a husband, and I think I want to put myself at this pinnacle where other dads can look at me and say, wow, Phil's a good dad, Phil's a great husband, and be that role model. And this is the role model I want to be for the deputies as they come in. And once again, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. We make mistakes, but I had a chief of police, Lou Velez, tell me a long time ago, if you make a mistake, you own it and you don't repeat it. Thank you.
believe what I heard you say, Phil, is corruption is easy to slip into. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Wouldn't know. I'm sorry if there's people in this room that feel differently about that, but we had the question about our faith at the beginning, which was odd, but that's how I've lived my life, and so I don't believe that there is corruption within the sheriff's office right now. And you probably all think, well, yeah, of course you don't. You work there, but that's the absolute truth. And if you want to know about the type of person that I am, look at my children. I have two of the most outstanding human beings that are just little versions of myself and my wife, coming up into this world, making positive differences. Our oldest is going to be going maybe off to college in a year or so, maybe doing something else. And our youngest, man, that kid's got a lot of energy, but they are fantastic and they're good people. They treat people with respect and they care about other people. And that is the measure of a man right there. So, I would not tolerate corruption if I found it. Just like I'm not going to tolerate corruption within any part of county government, sheriff's office, anywhere else. And so I am offended by the inference in the question that there is corruption within the sheriff's office, because I know who I am. I am comfortable with who I am, and I know exactly the line that I have walked.
I do appreciate it, Phil, thanking us for our continuous effort in staying in law enforcement. I still have a faith, like Steve said, we all believe in something. I still have a faith that we're here as a last line of defense for our community. This is where the buck stops. Have I seen corruption? I've seen some really bad cops. They were held accountable. They lost their jobs. But I never in my mind thought I will throw in the towel and say I'm not going to be law enforcement officer just because there's a corruption. There's a corruption in everything. Do I believe that Park County Sheriff's Office is a corrupt organization? Absolutely not. There is a faith in all of us that we're going to do the right thing. And I want to give them kudos for that. Right? Everybody needs to but like Steve said, we do have honor, and this is why I'm still doing the job I'm doing for 24 years. I never threw in the towel to say, I'm not going to do this because the system sucks. Yeah, the system sucks. But like I said, last line of defense, that's what we are. You know, the oversights, civilian oversights, and hiring somebody to independent investigation if we have any reports of misconduct cannot be more transparent to our community, and it's the right way to do business. Because law enforcement is a business, that's what it comes to. So we all here, you know, I take it personal when people say the cops are corrupt. We are the men of honor, and we do our jobs because, like I said, last line of defense, good versus evil. That's what I stand for. Thank you.
All right, this is the last question from this round. And then we will go to the live questions from the audience. I'll remind the audience of conduct standards prior to that. This last question is, are you willing to work with ICE?
It smells like groveling out there.
So if this was a one-word answer, the answer for me would be yes. However, it's not. It's not a one-word answer, right? Because unfortunately, like I talked about earlier with the state has kind of tied our hands on this a little bit. We are no longer allowed to directly facilitate or be involved in a controlled transfer with an illegal immigrant from our custody to ICE. Colorado has made that impossible for us to do, right? So we used to, and I can talk to this because I have jail experience. I've worked in a jail. I've helped run a jail, right? We used to house detainees for profit, number one, years ago. We don't do that anymore. We also used to be able to, whenever someone with an immigration detainer, which is what is put on someone who's in our country illegally, generally first is an immigration detainer, we would be able to hold them in our custody once they were done with their criminal case, until ICE would come and get them. It doesn't work like that anymore. Lawmakers have said they want us to be more of a sanctuary state for illegal immigrants, and so now the best we can do is hope that ICE can show up when we release them from our custody. So number one, that's dangerous for our detention staff. It's dangerous for the ICE agents. It's dangerous for anybody who might be in the lobby of our jail, or right now it would be the Chaffee County Jail. But we can no longer do a controlled, safe transfer of custody. And that's thanks to our lawmakers. It's unfortunate. So while I've never seen in the Constitution of the United States the word sheriff, I have seen it in the Colorado Constitution, and so as a sheriff, we're bound by the state of Colorado. Thank you.
Steve is right. I remember times where we used to arrest illegal aliens or immigrants, and we couldn't confirm their identity. And the first thing we used to do is put an ICE hold. Well, that was taken away from us. We do not, or we cannot share any information, even if you're on a multi-jurisdiction task force in the state of Colorado and you work with our federal partners, and I've worked with our federal partners before. Now, if they gain access to our database, guess what they're gonna do to those law enforcement officers? Well, we know who our Attorney General is right now. We know what happened in Mesa County. All right? I don't think that there was any ill intent in that deputy's action, because they're all hooked up to the same system. And now, that deputy doesn't have a job. He's being crucified in the public, and our Attorney General, by all means, he wants to sue him civilly. And we all know, since 2017, notorious Senate Bill 217, police officer accountability in the state of Colorado, has given everybody right to sue any law enforcement officer for whatever reason. You don't even need to prove nothing. And retainer for us, when you go to the doctor's office, they have insurance for malpractice. We don't. We cannot get those insurances. So, like Steve said, state legislature has tied our hands up. But I'm gonna tell you, are we gonna cooperate with the federal investigations? Absolutely. Not immigration's one, but a criminal one. They still have right to do that. So that's why I stand on the ICE.
I think you're gonna kind of get the same answer out of all three of us on this question. When I was working the streets, absolutely. We would have 15 immigrants in one van. The van rolled over at I-25 and whatever, and we would put those ICE holds on folks. The radical left out of Denver, and so I guess how I'm gonna change the conversation so we don't duplicate ourselves here. One of our biggest problems lies right up here at Capitol Hill, does it not?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm already working with state legislators, House District Rebecca Kelty, Larry Liston, Senator Larry Liston. They've endorsed my candidacy. I've been working with them for years. This is where we're gonna change this problem, and at the federal level. I understand, the best of my knowledge, I think there's about 7 new laws that Polis has signed that has to do with ICE, immigration. It's nearly a hands-off thing, isn't it, guys? It really is. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But a lot of this doesn't fall at our level. It falls up above. Our Senator Mark Baisley told us one night, he said, it's so important that you get involved, just like you're doing tonight. Get involved. The easiest thing we can do is flip that governor's seat, right? Senator Baisley explained it like a 3-legged chair. You've got the House, the Senate, and you've got the governor. The easiest thing that we can do, we can't flip all these Senate seats, we can't flip all the House seats, but the easiest one we can do is whenever we have a nominee for governor, can we all get behind that Republican and push and change the laws and get rid of a lot of this unconstitutional nonsense that's going on in the state? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we have live questions from the audience. If you would please form a line if we can down this row here. Again, no personal attacks. Don't go into anyone's personal life or rumors or anything. We're here for the sheriff's office candidates. So, any volunteers, please form a line up here. The candidates will have 30 seconds to respond. You can direct questions to an individual, however, all 3 will be given a chance to answer a similar question. Oh. 2 minutes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Steve. Good catch.
So
Come on up, use the mic.
my question is more for Phil. Everybody else is post-certified.
Yes, ma'am.
You are not post-certified.
Correct.
How could you become post-certified?
I've been working with Colorado Mountain College for probably over a year, and they've told me, as soon as you're ready, oh, I'm sorry, microphone, sorry. As soon as you're ready, just give us a heads up. I would have to go and recertify. It's usually right about a semester long. They already have my fingerprints, they've got everything on me they already need. It's just, what I thought is, it's an extremely expensive process to go through as an individual. Is Heather here? She's going through it right now. And putting herself through an academy. You know, as an individual, I would have to close my businesses. It would highly affect my family if I went through an academy now, which I'd love to do. It'll be fun the second time, right? and so they're already ready for me as soon as we're ready. If they have full classes or something, I've got it worked out through El Paso County or Pikes Peak Community College or Pikes Peak State College. So lots of them I've been in contact with to go recertify. And absolutely, I want to come up to speed on a lot of these things. There's a lot of law changes since I've been out, absolutely.
When's
But
the last-
yes ma'am,
When was the last time you were post-certified?
18 years ago, I think. I believe is what it was. But on the flip side, what I propose is lifelong government. But what I've learned on the private sector is priceless. When you work on the private side of the fence for a while, so I held that government paycheck for a while, and then you come over here, and you've got little mouths that are worried about, hey, Dad, I'm hungry. Hey, Dad, I want a car. Hey, Dad, we need some car insurance. And you have to make these bills, and all of a sudden, at one point, I was sitting at about 64 employees at one point. And I'll tell you what, when it's pay time, payrolls due, I sweat. It's hard. It's super hard. But when you can find that success in business, that is something I can add to this that no one else in this race is gonna do. I understand big budgets. I understand contracts, negotiations, vehicles, maintenance, everything that's involved in this. I bring a very unique skill set to this office that I don't think anyone else can. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, post is very important.
Yes, it is, ma'am. Yes.
Phil, this is for you still.
So hold on, by the rules here, we have the opportunity for a 1-minute response.
So far.
So I'm gonna take that, and, you know, in Phil's defense, statute allows him a year if he were to be elected sheriff to get his post certification, right? So, and I think that's more geared toward very, very small agencies to allow for more candidates for them. But, yeah, a post certification is very important. Ahmed and I have been in the trenches here, and I gotta tell you folks, law enforcement has changed so much, especially in the last 5 years. The stuff that is being thrown at us not only as administrators, but the people on the street. It is changing so fast, and when you are out of this game for a little bit, it's really going to be hard, in my opinion, to catch up, because so many things have changed.
I would like to pitch in, kind of piggyback from Steve. This is the one profession. It's nothing different than military. We are all considered paramilitary organization. This is the one profession where you don't compensate for the experience. This is something that every one of us does. When we get people out of the academy, and here, my law enforcement community here, when we get people out of the academy, usually they have to go through 19 weeks of FTO programs so we can catch them up on the policy procedures and everything else that goes hand in hand to put an individual on the street. Now we're talking big picture. You are the person in charge of the entire organization. How long does it gonna take to have somebody ready to go? That's why I'm ready from day one. Thank you.
Maybe gives me a 1 minute response. Anyways, just to follow up real quick, absolutely. And that's why, when I came out of my police academy.
Yep, no rebuttal.
1 minute?
Since you were the
You
original
can stay
person.
standing
Gotcha.
though.
Gotcha.
I got a
Yes,
question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So you said that if you went to the police academy now, you have to close down your businesses,
Sure.
okay? Are you planning on keeping your businesses open once you?
No, they're all up for sale.
Okay, next question is, so,
And to follow up on that again, there's a couple of the businesses, I had a question last week up here in Bailey. There's a couple of my businesses I want to bring to the area. There's a tire business and there's a uniform business. The uniform business I've had 20-something years. It thrives really well. At its peak before COVID, it was doing about $1.5 million a year. I want to see a program, and I want to bring that uniform business up the hill, and I want to see a program either through our schools as a vocational program, or I want to see it as perhaps through the Young Republicans. Kelly and I have started the Young Republicans here in the area, and I want to see that uniform business separated from me, so I'm clean and separated from it, but I want to see our youth learning a new business. They're going to learn to invoice. I want to see them at the point, because I've sold police uniforms for 20-something years. I can tell you to the penny what we should be paying for body armor and leather and upfitting our vehicles, because I sell that stuff. And I want to see the kids do it, and I'm going to train them how to do it. I will separate myself from the business, but it's something I want to bring up here for the community. So
the last part of what I was trying, I'm not finished. The last part of the question that I was trying to ask is, are you planning on having the taxpayers pay for your post-certification, or are you gonna be paying for that yourself?
no, I'm already approved to go through student loans, those kind of things. So no, as I promised you earlier, I'm going to do everything I can to absolutely stay out of taxpayer pockets. We would pay for it ourselves. The hard break in this, and the answer to your question, Karen, and thank you for your question, is to shut businesses down in big operations. 2 of my U-Haul dealerships are some of the best performing in the nation right now. I think the one in Monument might even be sitting number 1. And to shut those things down, why I go off for a semester to school is very difficult. I think you can understand that. But no, to answer the second part of your question, no, this would be self-funded at that point. Hopefully we'd have a business sold and have a little money to do so, right? Yeah, so thank you for your question, Karen.
Rebutts?
Kind of back it up and kind of piggyback on your statement earlier, Phil. As a business owner, this is why I see the conflict of interest. You may take your name off the business, but it still stays in the family. So what is the profit for that business coming from the Park County Sheriff's Office? That's the first thing. Every time somebody tells me they're a businessman, the only thing I can think about businesses, they are created to create profit. Law enforcement is nothing about profit. It's about service. Thank you.
This question's gonna be for Phil. Tonight we've spoken at pretty great length about your desire to keep the jail closed or downsize at minimum. What would be your suggestion to the staffing that we have just to eliminate or reallocate, just what your vision for that might be.
Great question, it's Henry, right?
Restate the question, please. Can you hear it back
Go ahead. Is the mic working?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's on.
The question just was, if your desire is to close the jail, what your plan for the staffing of the jail is, current staff, and just what your vision is there.
Okay. Did everyone hear the question?
No.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Henry's question is about staffing of the jail. If I closed the jail and kept it closed, this is up to Reverend Lucas, this is up to our county commissioners. This is a big, and we want your input as well. My thought is very easy. I'm looking at the budget, right? The jail budget is somewhere around 2.5, 2.7 off the top of my head, without looking at it, all right? If it's costing us $100 per deputy, my understanding right now it's about $93 a deputy right now, but it depends, I said deputy, an inmate. $93 per inmate right now that we're housing in Chafee. Okay, so I'm public educated, public math, but it's pretty simple math. It's just about numbers. If we only have 14, 15 inmates at $93 an inmate on the average, that's like $39,000 a month, or $436,000 a year, less than $500,000 a year. If the budget is 2.7 for the jail, or 2.5, whatever the numbers are, I'm just throwing round numbers, it's somewhere in the ballpark. We're only paying about $500,000 a year to house them, utilizing that House bill in our favor. Would it not make sense that we would have, we're gonna have court and transport, jail deputies, we would have to lean on our judges, excuse me real quick, on our judges, our lawyers, to do video arraignments as much as possible, utilize technology, and not taking inmates out for joyrides. We don't have that many inmates right now. From a business perspective, it makes no sense to me to keep that jail open. The jail's big. I don't even know what we house, 250-ish? And we have 15? But our conviction rate's very low. And so we need to work with our DA's office on that. We need to utilize that money, because if that left 1.6, 1.8 million a year, this is, deputies, this is how I would bring you up in pay. We're low in pay in this county, and we're losing deputies, my understanding, to surrounding areas. We cannot be a training ground for other departments. They can't come out of the schools, we employ them here for a year or so, and then they leave, and we've lost that deputy. So this is one way I would get you up in pay, use that money to work on vehicles, equipment, maintenance, and then start this conversation on how, on how we look at fixing that jail problem. Thank you for the question.
Not just because I care about these people, but we need these people that are working in our jail, working here in Park County. We have an investment in them, okay? We have training involved in them, and it's not simple math. I'm sorry, unfortunately, government and business are not the same. I don't have the ability in government to just fire somebody a lot of the time and start working with somebody else. It's unfortunate that it doesn't work that way, but it doesn't work that way. And I think that we have a responsibility as law enforcement here in Park County to you all to, as a sheriff, be the custodian of a jail, be the fire warden, transport prisoners, execute writs, preserve the peace within the county, issue concealed carry permits, and issue ID cards for retired law enforcement. This is what the law tells us that we have to do.
The sheriff's statutory responsibility is to have a jail detentions, okay? 1980, Park County got sued for housing inmates somewhere else, and it cost this community money. All right, needless to say, about our deputies who are working as a detention deputies here, having families to feed here. We all know how hard it is to live here in Park County. We need to have that human side. I see it as opportunity to have those deputies attend the police academies. And everybody, if you're not aware, Prop 130 is going live this year, which gives us about $350 million from the state for recruitment retention. What a better way to have those deputies who already done background checks, their psychological evaluation, and they're already working for the county, to transfer them from the jail on the road. Thank you.
This is to all three of you candidates. So, when is the last time you shot a gun? And then, number two, where do you stand with laws, state and federal laws that encroach our Second Amendment rights?
So, was it last week we went on the range? So we spend a lot of time at the range, and skills are very important. Okay, my personal stance on a state law, we know what's being pushed down on us with the Senate Bill 03. But let's face it, on a federal level, U.S. Constitution, right to bear arms, it's a right. It's not a privilege. It's not a driver's license that can be taken away. I encourage everybody to familiarize themselves with the ruling from 1966, Harris versus Virginia Election Board. And the states, and it's the state, it went to the Supreme Court, but it states that you cannot be charged for your constitutional right to bear arms. So that's my stand on it, and I shoot regularly, so.
I don't want to sound like we have the same answers, but the last time I shot a gun was also last week. And I also shoot regularly, not nearly as much as I would like to, because I really enjoy shooting. I'm a huge proponent of the Second Amendment, and it's very disheartening to see, again, the direction that our state has gone, to me, in regards to firearms. And I think firearms are very important to all of us for two very fundamental reasons. Number one is your personal protection, your personal safety. And I believe that you have the right to protect yourself from danger. This is a means to do that is protected by the Constitution of the United States. Number two is that we have a First Amendment in the United States. It protects speech, it protects petition, assembly, right? These very important rights. And if we give up our rights in the Second Amendment to keep and bear arms, how are we supposed to stand up to a tyrannical government who's going to try and take away our freedoms that are guaranteed in the First Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, all the way down the list? I don't know that we can. And that's when we start, unfortunately, to move away from being not a democracy, right, but a representative republic. And if we don't have people in positions in government that are representative of our values, we need to change that.
Jeremiah, another great question, man. These questions are amazing. Thank you for it. I appreciate you, Jeremiah. Unfortunately, I shot 2.5 weeks ago or something. We were at a private gun range, and so not as recent as you. Tyree, wherever you're at, I heard you say the other day you spent a bunch of hours at the range. I was jealous. I really was. What a great day you had. Great question. Going back to when Kelly and I got involved with the Republican Party up here, this is where Sheriff McGraw lit a fire under Phil McDonald's butt. He came to us as the party. It's the people in that room and the party that put him in that position, right? Ahmet spoke of 25003. That's the most radical gun bill ever pushed in the history of the United States. Would you agree with that? Jared Polis did that to us and he signed it. There was many sheriffs that were getting together. There was Sheriff Roybal out of El Paso County, Sheriff Weekly of Douglas County, Sheriff Mike Sell out of Teller. There was Sheriff Reams out of Weld County. They were grouping together to go testify on this nasty bill and say, please don't pass this because it's the most radical bill. It is against the Constitution, it's unenforceable, and don't do it. And Sheriff McGraw told us, what, Kel, do you remember? He said, I'm not going to join forces with them. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get this county involved in a lawsuit. Well, guess what? I'm suing the state of Colorado. under that bill. I'm part of that. I'm defending your right to bear arms. And I'm part of that lawsuit suing Colorado. This is where we need the contacts in Denver, right? The sheriff is your highest law enforcement officer of the county, right? Does that make sense? That is your last line of defense against radical Denver, okay? And to protect you as the citizens. I believe in our Second Amendment. I believe in our First Amendment right, our freedom of speech, but I'm already doing something proactively to correct that and get rid of that nasty bill. Thank you for your time.
James Clark. I'd like to preface this. I have 26 years in law enforcement. So my questions for you. Okay.
Speak up.
My name's James Clark. I've worked in law enforcement for 26 years. Thank you. All right. My question's for the undersheriff. Perception is reality, and any deputy police officer that's sitting in this room knows exactly what I'm talking about, to include several higher people in this room. Perception is reality. There is a culture here. I've been here for 4 years. I've heard of a culture here. Mind you, I came from a place for 17 years in a metro agency in Minneapolis where we had a culture that was badmouthed across the whole metro. We couldn't get people to work for us because of the culture. Culture is poisonous. What are you going to do to fix the culture? Because perception is reality. And it's reality for your deputies, and it's reality for the citizens of Park County.
You're right, perception is reality. And I think we were handed a great tool with Senate Bill 217 that required us to get body-worn cameras. It's unfortunate that it was a state-funded mandate and it put a strain on us to do that. But I think one of the things that we've really seen as an agency through body-worn cameras is our complaints have gone down. So that's fantastic, right? Because we're capturing every interaction with every citizen on video. But going back to perception is reality, I'm a lead by example kind of guy. So I believe you have to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. Now, do I know about everything that goes on in this county every single hour of every single day with every single person in the sheriff's office? Absolutely not. We're not huge, right? But 50 to 60 people, that's a lot to keep track of. And I will never tell you that I know everything that's going on in this county. But I will tell you this. I believe in my reputation, and I believe in the person that I am. And as a leader of this agency and the head of this agency going forward, I believe that the perception will be the reality.
But
And
we
it
didn't
is-
address the culture piece.
Okay. So I'll get there if I have time.
Give them a minute.
So
Yeah, 30 seconds.
it comes from the top, right? So what is allowed is condoned. And I talked about accountability a little bit earlier. That's one thing that I'm gonna change, okay? What is allowed is condoned. Please remember that. Same thing with your kids. If you allow them to do something, then you're condoning it. Maybe you're not supporting it, but you're allowing it. And that's one thing that will be a priority for me
10
to change the culture. The other thing about it being hard to live here, you're absolutely right. But we need to seek out people who are already here, already invested, and bring them into the sheriff's office.
Law enforcement culture starts at the top. But the most important thing for any operational organization is the first line supervision. If we are fostering culture of no accountability, then that culture is not good for the organization. It's not good for our residents. So the culture change is from the top. This administration has been here for the last 8 years. What have they done to change it? And if we all believe that it's going to be changed in during this election or next term, I urge you to rethink that. Thank you.
talked and hit a little bit on culture. You lead by example. Absolutely lead by example. I want to put my entire life history. I've been a youth coach for 27, 28 years of all sports, and believe it or not, it's football, basketball. I ran the police athletic league. I even coached cheerleading for a little while. We didn't have a cheerleading coach, so you lead by example. You change the culture because they look at you and they say, as I mentioned before, wow, Phil's a good dad. Phil's a good dad, and I want to model myself after a good role model like that. Leading by example will change the culture. Everyone works under the pleasure of the sheriff. I'll have to admit, there may be some changes. Right now, I know there's many that are nervous in the room. I hear rumors that Phil's gonna fire everybody. Phil can't run the sheriff's department by himself, but there could be changes.
Phil,
Everybody has a job.
Can't hear you back here at all. They can't hear you.
Did this die?
You gotta talk louder.
You want me to go to the middle of the room?
You just talk a little bit louder.
Talk a little bit louder.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go. Okay, I'm sorry. And changing the culture of the sheriff's department, we have to lead by example. Would you agree? Setting that bar really high will help change the culture. What I was saying that you probably missed out on is everyone works in the sheriff's department, works at the pleasure of the sheriff. That's just the way I'm outside.
Sorry. Great answer, though.
Can everyone hear me?
So let me just say that microphone is not hooked up to speakers, that is to this camera.
Only for the camera.
Oh, okay.
So just so everybody knows.
Hi, my name is Shelley. My question is for all of the candidates. Under your leadership, how will the Sheriff's Office collaborate with the county building and health departments to enforce regulations and clean up Park County?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm currently working for the Sheriff's Office in Summit County. There's a program that we developed. Our development services here has a code enforcement. So, part of every sheriff's office is to enforce state laws and county ordinances. Well, building department development services works off of county ordinances that we pass. People are saying, well, it might be a civil thing. Well, guess what? One of the sheriff's statutory responsibility is a civil. All right? So I will steal something that already exists. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to have deputies work hand in hand with the code enforcement and building department so we can get compliance that's much needed in this county and that needs to be addressed. All right? Sheriff's deputies, whether they are detention deputies or they're road deputies, even detention deputies are deputized by the sheriff, and they have a right to enforce those county ordinances. So we have deputies right now, my understanding is jail is closed. Yeah, why are we not having those deputies helping other departments within the county, helping development services, and work hand in hand? I'm always going to emphasize 3 branches of the government: judicial, legislative, and executive. Sheriff's Office is executive. We all need to work together to make this place better for all of us. Thank you.
I'll probably be the one with the unpopular answer to this here, but as I told you before, I'm about limited government and personal responsibility. And so I think we need to enforce what we have on the books instead of creating more laws and more restrictions on all of you. Maybe that's not the view that some of you want for your sheriff, but that's who I am. That's what I believe in. And so, yes, the sheriff does have the ability to enforce county ordinances along with state laws. But from what I've seen in recent years, many of the county ordinances are not reasonable, and they make it more prohibitive for citizens to conduct business, for citizens to build homes, for citizens to live here in Park County. And as we're seeing again at the state level, and I hate to keep hopping on this same horse, but they're getting ready to make it that much more difficult for us with bills that are going through the legislature right now on housing. So, we, I believe, work relatively well with other departments within the county. Some of you may disagree with that, and that's fine. However, I interpret the sheriff's civil responsibilities a little bit different than Ahmet does, and that has to do with civil paperwork, those sorts of things that come through the court. Not necessarily things that are civil infractions. We don't have authority to act on things in the civil realm versus the criminal realm without an order from a judge, without authorization from a judge. So, again, I think we need to do a better job as local government in being more mindful in the laws or the ordinances that are created, especially if law enforcement is going to be tasked with upholding those laws and ordinances.
The magic answer to a lot of these questions is money, is it not? Is money. If we have, I reference where we're at in Hartselle. It's Camper Village down there north of Highway 24. People living in all kinds of stuff. The solution is enforcement with it, and strong enforcement and consistent enforcement. I've talked to, is Brandon Heacock in the room? I've talked to Brandon about possibly giving code enforcement, giving somebody some special deputy duties, those kind of things, as well as maybe some arson investigators, some special duties, those kind of things. So enforcement and consistent enforcement of these things, but it comes back to, do we have the personnel to do it? The way I see things right now, the magic answer to the money is this jail. There is so much being spent on this jail that is not serving us well. It's a mess. I think that the jail is probably at the point of maybe no return. I don't know. We've got to see what comes back. But can we utilize some of that money to bring us back up to where we need to be as a county? That's the way I look at this. And I think that's what's going to separate me from my partners, is utilizing that money that we already have, put the money to good use, where I currently see things where the sheriff's department's spending money. Is it okay to buy candy on the sheriff's department dime? I don't see that. We're not using money correctly. The canines are awesome. I love the canine program.
Yeah.
Extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. But I also see where Sheriff McGraw had cut 2 road deputies and a jail person, I don't know if it was a deputy, but it says a jail person, out of this year's budget for 6 months. Is it more important to have the dogs right now, when there could be some federal money coming to support the dogs? Or is it more important that we staff more deputies? I think it's more important to staff more deputies. Thank you for the time.
For the camera.
So you'll have to speak loud.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, I am a public school employee, and so I'm gonna ask you questions related to public. I am a public school employee. Thank you for making me use my teacher voice. School safety continues to be a critical part of law enforcement. My question to all of you is, how will you establish clear lines of communication with our administrators, and how will you establish crisis responses that keep all of our kids safe?
Anybody?
Thank you for your question. School security and safety is something that is really important to me as a former school resource officer, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit here that we have 2 school resource officers here in Platte Canyon School District, because I have been instrumental in keeping those deputies in the schools. Clear lines of communication, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we already have those. And a perfect example of this was the wildfire in the Deer Creek Valley Ranchos earlier this week, I guess it was, small wildfire. I was texting back and forth with the superintendent of the school district over here. How does this event potentially affect our kids being released from school? What is the status of this event? I'd say that's pretty good communication. I have real-time, critical information about something that is affecting our community and could affect the release and the safety of our kids towards the end of the school day. And we have real-time communication on what is happening and what is going on. Additionally, and thank you more so to the school district than to the sheriff's office for this piece, we have emergency plans in place. These are things where we do exercises every single year to make sure that if we have a catastrophic incident, there are plans in place for what to do. Now, we're a pretty small organization and we have limited resources, but we work super well with the other emergency response agencies within this county, and for the most part pretty well with the surrounding county. You'd be amazed when something happens how quick you can get maybe even too many people to an event when it's necessary. So there's always room for improvement, especially with communication, but I think for where we're at, we're doing a pretty good job already, but we can do better.
Thank you for this question. School safety, our kids' safety is an important thing. Steve mentioned they have an emergency preparedness plan. How often do we practice those emergency preparedness plans? How often do we have a live scenarios? How often do we involve all the emergency services here? Training is the most important thing. And how often do we update those? Because time changes are every day in our profession. Our response, when we go from Columbine, where we waited for SWAT team, to the border policing, where it takes first or two first deputies on scene to go address the issue in the school, aka meaning find the bad guy and eliminate the bad guy. But what happens after that? Do we have a plan for that with the school? That needs to be addressed, and it needs to be practiced every year. What people do we have in the schools? All right? Traditionally, I know great school officers who are involved in the schools, who are building trust with our kids, and who are teaching criminal justice classes in the school. What a great opportunity for an organization like a sheriff's office to have somebody representing them in building relationship with our new generation. That's what I said. Communication, they can always be improved. We praise ourselves in law enforcement like we have a good communications. I can tell you, we've been working on communication since 1970. Guess where we at? We didn't improve much. And needless to say, if we bring our community partners inside, we have that tendency to keep certain things to ourselves. Well, our job as a law enforcement is to be transparent and have an open line of communications. Thank you.
What a passionate subject this is for all of us, and I think we're all gonna agree on this, and how do we keep our kiddos and our staff safe? So thank you for what you do and everything you're doing. You've got a great career. It's getting tougher, huh? Tougher and tougher. So, once again, there's no magic answer to this. One of it is training. I was a field training officer. One of my field training officers is here in the room when I came out of the police academy. I love to train. It's fun, you make it fun, but we have to involve and we have to be on a great schedule, very consistent, and working with staff, working with the admin, and how do we respond to these scenarios. I've been endorsed by Laura Carno, and if you want to look her up, her company is called Faster Colorado. She helps arm, train, finance many school officers, outfits them with body armor, those kind of things. And so I think we're going to have a great support, or a lot of support out of Laura and her nonprofit to help fund a lot of new school security officers. But the big answer to this is training. It's very disturbing what's happened to us. We don't want to be an easy target by any means. Our kids, we cannot make them easy targets at all. So we have to make our schools, our staff, our kiddos extremely tough targets. We have to work with the kids, we have to educate them, we have to educate the educators. There's many educators now that push away from law enforcement. They don't want anything to do with it. We can't have that. If our job is to protect those kiddos, We have to get in the schools and protect them. There's been incidents, I know at Platt, that just horrific. We were involved in a bunch in Colorado Springs area. It's tough, it's horrific. There's not necessarily a magic answer, but planning, training, preparing, because when you train, all of us would agree, I hope, deputies, that when you train, you feel like you've already been in that situation and you know how to react to that situation. We can do that with staff and kids as well. So that's my time.
We're gonna come off.
Oh, I'm done?
Yeah. So we're, in the interest of time.
In the interest of time.
Yep.
It's all the ball.
Please do pick up contact information for each of the candidates and ask your questions. We have a lot of people here. This was scheduled until 8:30, and I do want to make sure that we respect everybody's evening. Thank you all. We do have a 3-minute closing from each of the candidates, and then that'll be it. Thank you for letting me be here tonight. Just to reiterate, I did not see any of the questions until they were before me. I'm your county manager, and I also currently am not a voter in Park County. I live in Teller, so that's why I was chosen at the last minute for this role, is so that I could try and be the most unbiased I possibly can. Do we have a volunteer who would like to open for, or start the close?
This is tactics right here. Who wants to go first?
Yep, so then Phil?
Yes.
I'm up. Perfect. So, Lucas, thank you. Deborah, Bill Hines, thank you all for being here, and that's from my heart. Excuse me, on behalf of my family and I really want to thank you. This is grassroots, like I started my conversation with. This is how we make change. You agree? It's really how we make change. We take charge. It's so easy to go home and hit the recliner and hit the TV and watch a good movie. And this is how we affect the change that we want in our county. As you can see, I'm the topic of a lot of questions. I hope I'm right over target because I feel like I'm bringing the change that Park County desperately, desperately needs. Maybe that breath of fresh air. I don't think, all due respect, Steve, I don't think we want to go any longer with more of the same. That's the way I look at it. I don't think, with all due respect, I don't think, if you can get inside Phil's head and you see what I have learned in the business realm that I could bring to the county. What's the biggest problem I just mentioned all night? It's money, isn't it? It's money. That would resolve so many problems for our community. There's only so much money. I told you, Phil and Kelly are taxed out. I'm taxed out, and I'm sure you are too. Our household budget's becoming really tight. I have so many plans to utilize the money we already have, put it to use. It addresses pay raises for the deputies, work on our equipment, work on our Tahoes, get everything up to par. I'm the one candidate that will work with these outside resources. I'm not going to, once again, pigeonhole us into just Park County, where you put up our boundaries in Park County and, well, that's just our budget, that's all we have. I pay federal tax. Anyone else pay federal tax? We're entitled to that. There's federal grants for the dogs. There's nonprofit that would help with the dogs. I love the dog program, but it's a very expensive program. I want to see it continue. I talked about traffic enforcement. I believe that could be self-funded. And so my big point that I want to bring across one more time is me staying out of your pocket as much as we can. We have to fund something like this. The Sheriff's Department's not cheap. It's currently, I believe, about 64% of our county budget. I sit with the county officials easily monthly, if not more than that, and work on this stuff. And big applause goes to Lucas and our commissioners of passing a budget. The first time, if I say this right, Lucas, first time in 14 years, we actually have a budget in this county. That's huge. That's huge. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Commissioner Whistle. Thank you. 30 seconds for me. Work with the money we currently have, work on the big issues. The jail's the big issue. That's a massive topic for us right now. Jail deputies, we cannot train them and lose them. We need to bring their pay up. We need to tell them and show them how much we appreciate them. A lot of that training. Our teacher with the question about training. I think training's fun. I want to involve the community. I want to see everybody in the county that can legally own a firearm, And I want to see our Debs work with, that's my stop. That's my stop button. Folks, from my heart, thank you for the evening.
We live in a special place. That's Park County, all right? It's built on trust, hard work, neighborhoods looking out for each other, neighbors looking for each other. And what do we treasure mostly here? It's our freedom, strong beliefs in the individual liberty, as well as limited government and conservative values that we all share here. We have already taken first steps by being here to make the change. We want to build a new social contract with our community based on transparency and accountability. With the authority we are given, it comes a great responsibility, and we want to use it openly and honestly. I believe the trust is most valuable currency that we all possess. We earn it by being clear about our policies, sharing crime data, providing timely, accurate information about critical incidents. These steps ensure accountability and strengthen the relationship between law enforcement and the community we serve. As your sheriff, my mission is simple: protect the innocent, uphold the Constitution, and ensure that our deputies have tools and means to do those duties that we all expect them to do. I'm committed to reasonable budgeting. I can tell you that. I'm not going to ask you for the tax increase. I have experience in budgeting, and trust me, the first time I started the police department, my budget was $125,000 without cars, without anything. I'm pledged to provide steady, honest leadership rooted in the values we share. It's a family, freedom, responsibility, and foremost, respect. Thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. On behalf of myself, my family, my team, thank you again.
First of all, thank all of you for being here tonight. Like I said at the beginning, this is an important issue, right? This is an important election for all of us that live here and that make Park County our home and have made Park County. I'll remind you a little bit about who I am. I'm a husband. I've been married for, this year will be 20 years, to my lovely wife, Katie. I'm a father. I'm a coach. I've coached some of your kids in this room. I'm a Colorado native. I was born down in Inglewood. That's Inglewood, Colorado. I'm a graduate of Platte Canyon High School here. I'm a graduate of Adams State, like Phil. 2 bachelor's degrees there. A master's certificate from the University of Virginia. And again, a graduate of the prestigious FBI National Academy, which I'll tell you is no picnic to try to get into. And I'm your undersheriff. I've been back in Park County in law enforcement for the past 14 years. And that was my choice. I told you at the beginning, I've got 22 years in law enforcement. I almost started my career here in Park County. And then I left for what I thought were greener pastures, higher pay, better benefits, better retirement. But 10 years ago, I came back. And the reason that I came back is because, like Ahmed said, this is a special place. And I think I understand that better than anyone up here, for sure, and maybe better than a lot of you in this room. I heard earlier questions about why I haven't been seen at a Republican meeting. Well, I was pretty heavily involved years ago, and then I took a role where I had to take a step back from politics as an undersheriff. It's not a political position. It's not elected. It's appointed by the sheriff. So, no, I haven't been readily, directly involved within the last few years. But I am involved in this community, specifically here in Bailey. This is my home. I chose to make this my home. I've been a part of Little League here for the better part of 10 years. I coach and volunteer with the school district. And I think that that's important. I think that you all deserve a sheriff that understands Park County, that understands what those 2,200 square miles actually look like, that knows where Valley Lane is in Guffey. I think that you need a sheriff who understands that while the majority of the population is here in Bailey, that an elected official should represent all of their constituents, no matter where they live, what their political beliefs are, or anything else. So, I'm Steve Spodiak. I'd appreciate your support. Thank you all. Have a good night.
All right, how about one more round of applause for all three of our And I was just told that we have one other person who wants to make a announcement tonight, and then everybody please drive safe.
Hi guys, I'm Kimberly. Some of you guys know me, some of you don't. I'm this man's campaign manager. I have vetted him for 11 months, so if anyone trusts my word, he's the man. I actually have to, though, tonight step aside as his campaign manager. This shouldn't be allowed. I'm sorry. Absolutely not.